Good afternoon. I'm Jonathan Friedman. I'm the Development Director here at the Parkinson's Institute, and I'd like to welcome y'all. I say y'all because I moved here from Austin, Texas about a year ago, and I find it easier to say y'all than you guys or whatever else people say. So welcome y'all. My role today is an MC. I'll be introducing each of our eminent speakers very briefly. Each will be speaking for about 10 minutes. The topics may be interesting to all or some of you. These are not medical presentations, but topics that may help you navigate the legal and financial maze of Parkinson's care. So the Parkinson's Institute is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to seek the causes, provide exceptional care, which some of you have enjoyed, and find a cure for Parkinson's disease. The seminar is presented as a part of our mission to help educate the public about Parkinson's and provide information and help where appropriate. As you probably realize, Medicare and other insurance reimbursements only cover a fraction of the costs of our clinic, and we rely on generous donors for our existence. These days, financial pressures are increasing with new economic policies, unemployment, changes in health care, and overall declines in charitable giving. So we need your help. And I'm making this brief pitch for that help now. During this presentation, you'll hear about various planned giving programs. All I'm asking is that you consider Parkinson's Institute in your planning and that you consider donating even today to help us help you. Our first presenter is Bill Upson. He's a financial advisor and widely recognized for pioneering work he has done, particularly in the area of long-term care.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The materials you have in the folder are pages directly from a book that I wrote called Long-Term Care, Alternatives and Solutions. Ideally, the book you should look at in its entirety, because what we try to do is to bring to your attention various ways that coverage can be provided, even under the circumstances that you're dealing with today. I have covered people with Parkinson's illness, Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, many different illnesses, and it just depends on the circumstances as to how we can help people. I'm going to go through the different slides you have very quickly because I only have a few minutes. Pages 2 and 3 in the book address the issue of long-term care in terms of the likelihood of need, and it's very obvious here that everybody is aware of that. Page 3 talks about the emotional strain that it places on families, and I'm sure you're also aware of that also, so I'm going to move very quickly through these pages. Page 11 talks about the issue of protecting your financial documents. For those of you who lived here in the San Francisco Bay Area in 1991, I believe it was, we experienced one of the worst holocausts we could possibly have in the way of a fire. 2,400 houses, residences disappeared in less than 3 days. 29 people died. But for many of the people in that fire, their documents and records, settlements of those claims still has not been resolved. So if you can get your information onto a CD disk and place it in a bank account, into a trust account, a trust box, then at least you have a record in case something terrible does happen. We're happy to help you with that. We provide that kind of service. On page 13, we talk about things such as family medical leave. We go into discussions regarding Medicare in the book. On pages 29, we talk about Medi-Cal and Medicaid. And I'm sure many of you are very familiar with how it works, but I would ask you to pay particular attention to the possibility of creating special needs trusts or having to deal with those depending on your circumstances, because they need to be properly structured to allow for the continuation of benefits under Social Security and Medi-Cal without interruption when a well-meaning person attempts to help you in the process of providing funding for certain services. So be very careful and be sure to speak with an attorney well-trained and well-versed in that area. On page 51, which is in the materials you have, we talk about association health plans. And the plans themselves, in many cases, will provide coverage regardless of your health condition. But you've got to be very specific with the associations in which you try to do this. There is a concept out there in the insurance industry called guaranteed issue. And guaranteed issue simply means that everybody in a group is covered regardless of their health conditions. So if you're still employed, your employer can provide this kind of coverage, and everybody in the company can be covered under that program. There can also be a discriminatory plan where certain key people can be covered. These plans are tax deductible for the corporation. The benefits when paid to the individuals are income tax free in most circumstances. And as far as additional coverage goes, that's when we step in and try to help provide additional benefits from the services we provide. On page 85, we take time to go into the issue of IRA distribution planning, because for many people, they do not realize that as far as their IRAs go, there are different things that can be done inside of those. Products can be purchased inside an IRA that can provide long-term care protection. They're unusual, they're very unique, and they have certain qualifiers to them. But in some circumstances, they will solve the problem. In the book, I spend an entire chapter on how to insure your IRA account. So that chapter may be of real interest to those of you who are faced with IRAs that you're trying to protect for a spouse, for someone else in the family, while at the same time getting the benefits during your lifetime. Chapter 12, page 103, talks about estate and asset planning. And the reason we put this chapter in here is because many people do not realize that they may hold life insurance policies that have what are called accelerated benefit riders. These riders allow you access to the death benefit value of the policy prior to passing, sometimes 1 to 3 years in advance of that time frame. And all you have to prove are certain health requirements to achieve receiving that money either as a lump sum or receiving it in payments over a period of time. There are many, many other things you can talk about in the area of estate planning, and I'm sure they will be addressed today. Because of our time, I'm going to skip over to page 130, I believe it is. And 130 talks about the world of long-term care. We did a lot of study prior to writing the book roughly 10 years ago. It's been updated twice since then, but we spent a great deal of time trying to address the issue on a worldwide basis. Today, there are 10,000 people a day retiring in the United States. So this issue is just getting larger and more significant. Approximately 37 million people are retired now in the United States and on Social Security. That will go to over 75 million in the next 30 years. So the kinds of issues you're dealing with are very, very important in terms of not only your situation, but what is available in the way of government benefits, local benefits, and also from insurance companies that you may not know exist. On page 137, I addressed the issue of volunteer support because where I live in Walnut Creek, California, there is an organization called Caring Hands. And Caring Hands matches up an individual who has a health condition that incapacitates them with another senior volunteer who is willing to help, drive to appointments, take care of small day-to-day issues. It is run by the local hospital, John Muir Hospital, and there is no charge to either party. And the volunteers are fully trained. So it may be something of interest to you. I would imagine there is something here in this area, possibly by a different name, but it's certainly worth checking into. They take care of approximately 400 people in the Contra Costa area of Walnut Creek. And the last thing I'm going to mention very quickly is on page 139. I address the issue of the California Partnership. California Partnership is a partnership between the state of California and 6 major insurance companies providing long-term care policies, which have a unique feature to them called asset protection. And it would take me more than the 1.5 minutes I have left to explain that to you. So I'm going to leave it with that statement, just so you know that there is something out there available with that kind of a protection clause in it. It's also available through the state of California, the CalPERS program, but the only thing you got to be very careful about, CalPERS is not an insurance company, and they have had 3 rate increases in the last 5 years. So if you're contemplating coverage with them, if you can get it or have it, just be very much aware of the fact those coverages can be very expensive. With that, I'm going to pass the microphone on to our next speaker, or to Jonathan.
Thank you.